Welcome to Rapid Fire Wednesdays, Q&A for corporate immigration professionals. I'm Kimberley Robidoux, a partner in our San Diego office, and I'm joined as always by Miki Matrician, co-managing partner of our Boston office. How are you doing today, Miki?
I'm good. How are you, Kim?
You're fine. So today we wanted to debrief on the Supreme Court decision, which was on the Birthright Citizenship case CASA v. Trump. That decision was issued on Friday, June 27th. So under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, anyone born on U.S. soil automatically has U.S. citizenship. There are very, very few exceptions for diplomats, but essentially anyone born on U.S. soil has U.S. citizenship. So this harkens all the way back to an 1898 Supreme Court case, which was called U.S. v. Wong Kim Ark. And that established an important precedent interpreting the 14th Amendment to guarantee birthright citizenship regardless of heritage or immigration status of parents. So, Miki, can you explain to us what happened with this issue under the Trump administration this year?
Yeah, let me first talk about 2019. Under Trump 1.0, it was announced that the administration was looking at ending birthright citizenship, and nothing else really happened beyond that announcement. And then on January 20th, 2025, as soon as he was inaugurated, he issued an executive order to end birthright citizenship to children born to undocumented immigrants and to children whose parents were here in the U.S. in a temporary non-immigrant status. So it basically made it a requirement for a child born on U.S. soil to have at least one parent with U.S. citizenship or lawful permanent residence in order to have U.S. citizenship. And so a number of lawsuits were filed in the courts right away. And within days, the federal courts halted implementation of that executive order. And that was done through nationwide injunctions. And then the government attorneys challenged the injunction that halted the executive order. And then the Circuit Courts of Appeal rejected those appeals. And so the U.S. Supreme Court agreed to hear the consolidated case, which is the CASA v. Trump that you mentioned. Kim, do you want to discuss what the Supreme Court ruled? There seems to be a lot of confusion about, what the fate is of the birthright citizenship and what the Supreme Court decided.
Yeah, sure, Miki. So it's definitely very confusing. With this case, the Supreme Court did not decide whether or not birthright citizenship is constitutional. So the decision was not focused on the merits of the case at all. So it's really important to note that the Supreme Court decision did not end birthright citizenship, right? So that's what we know right now. But what it decided was that the federal district court judges cannot issue nationwide injunctions to halt the implementation of federal policies. So they decided that injunctions could be issued to only the individuals or the specific groups who brought the lawsuit. So any block on federal action would need to be on a case-by-case basis. So this Supreme Court decision left the executive order open to be enforced after 30 days from the Supreme Court decision, unless there are additional protections issued by the courts before the end of these 30 days. And the Supreme Court decision did leave the door open for protection via class action lawsuits as a way to block federal action on a statewide or region-wide or nationwide basis. So then on the same day as the Supreme Court decision, which was June 27th, a group of nonprofit organizations filed a nationwide class action lawsuit in the federal court in New Hampshire. So these included the ACLU of New Hampshire, the ACLU of Maine, and ACLU of Massachusetts, the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and the Democracy Defenders Fund. So that litigation is ongoing right now.
Yeah, those groups were really ready for that decision and took action immediately. And as you said, the executive order is supposed to become effective on July 27th and is really impossible to know at this time what the outcome will be, whether children born in the U.S. will or won't have birthright citizenship if they're born to a parent that's not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. But we'll be watching this really closely and we'll report back with updates.
Yeah. So, Miki, let's wrap up Rapid Fire Wednesday on a positive note, because I think we can all use that. So this Friday is the 4th of July, our Independence Day. And on July 4th of 1776, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. And they declared, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So the men who signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th of 1776 pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend the idea of human equality. So for me, July 4th has always been fireworks over the ocean or a lake or a harbor, and always, always with family and friends, with pride being an American and hope for the future. So, what is your 4th of July for you, Miki? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. Now that my kids are grown, we don't do the local fireworks that we used to do every year when they were younger. So this year, my husband and I are going to Marblehead, Massachusetts, which is along the coast to where my in laws are. And we're going to enjoy the fireworks up there.
That sounds awesome. I love Marblehead. It's such a quaint little town. It's really nice. All right. With that, I guess that wraps up this week's Rapid Fire Wednesday. We'll continue monitoring for court developments, agency guidance, and provide updates in future episodes as we hear what's going on with any of these issues that we're dealing with on the immigration front. As always, for the latest updates to the immigration landscape, please follow WR Immigration on LinkedIn, as well as Miki and my personal profiles for breaking updates and insights. And we also transcribe each and every episode and share it through our weekly newsletter, which you can subscribe to. The link to subscribe can be found in the video description. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Wishing you all a fun-filled, special 4th of July, and great seeing you, Miki. Have a wonderful 4th as well.
You too, Kim. Have a happy 4th.